Hey guys, Zach here with ZEM Construction. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I took this unfinished 1,300 square foot basement, added 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a couple closets, and a huge living space. Without any further ado, let's get into the video. So first, I wanted to give you guys a quick walkthrough of what the basement looked like before we did anything. So as of right now, the framing is already done on most of the exterior walls. There's already insulation in them. Most of the electrical is already done, ready to go. You can see right there was an ejector pump getting ready for a bathroom to be put in. There were egress windows, as you can see right there, throughout. So bedrooms were already legally allowed to be put in that space. Here's another closet that is behind the furnace back here. It's a great big space for some more storage. So the first thing that we needed to get done was frame up all of the interior walls. Like I said, the exterior was already framed, so at this point we're just putting dividers in between to create those spaces that will eventually become the bedroom, the living room, bathroom. So this is bedroom number 2 here, just putting up the dividing wall. Now this space right here is going to become the bathroom, as well as a hallway to walk down into bedroom number 1. So there was a lot of different things to deal with in this space. There was ducting, pipes up top, electrical wire, different things like that. So I really had to get creative. As you can see, there's some tape hanging down, and that is actually from the builder was labeling different aspects to eventually be finished later. It actually made my life really easy. He actually had labeled which water sources to use, where to place the exhaust fan, where to vent it out, different things like that. And even on the ground, you'll see a big orange letter S, and that is showing that this is where the sewer line runs to connect for the toilet and the shower and the sink. So made my life great. So I got all those dividing walls in, and now I'm putting in the pocket door. Usually when I frame walls, even though there's going to be a door, I just let the bottom plate run all the way through, as you can see right here, so that I can make sure that it is in line, and then go through and attach all the places that need to be attached, and then cut out the bottom plate where the door is going to go. So it makes alignment, especially with things like pocket doors, which are very crucial. It makes it much easier. So one of the big things for this house was they wanted to maintain as much storage as possible. The basement was used for storage previously, and they were finishing the basement for a resale value as well as be able to utilize the space. But storage was a big concern for them. So that back room where you can see a lot of the homeowners' things right now, we're going to leave that unfinished. One, because it is a utility room, has a drain back there, the water heater, furnace, and all that. But also, we wanted to leave plenty of room for storage. So some of those walls were built with that idea in mind. So here's an area under the steps we're going to put a closet in there. And this area right here is where the bedroom closets are going to be. They're going to be 4x8, one for each bedroom. There were some large glulam beams that were going across, and as opposed to trying to wrap those or hide those, we actually just used those as the dividing wall for the front of the closet. So got those built. Now I'm actually building all of the soffit in the house. So there is the vents that go underneath. This is actually in the hallway. So getting that all framed in, places for the drywall to get attached. And then a little bit more soffit. As you can see, I do layouts very similar to how I build walls. I line up all 3 of the boards and then mark them so that all of them are perfectly square and straight. I just use 2x2s, pre-drill, and then screw them together. Very good way to do it, very strong. As you can see, I have a lot to cover up in this room. There was the vents as well as all the electrical and the water lines. So as opposed to having a bunch of like step downs or different seams and stuff, I just decided to go with one big flat soffit, try to keep it up as high as possible. The less lines that you can have, especially with soffits, and then eventually will become drywall and paint lines, the better. And also because these 2 rooms didn't connect, I didn't feel the need to keep that consistent all the way through. By the time you walk in there, you're not going to see anymore. So that soffit is a lot smaller. This area of the job was kind of cool. This becomes a little playroom, we ended up calling it. That was a change made by the homeowner later. I think it was a great idea. So make sure you stay tuned to watch how we finish that out. More soffit in the storage closet off of the living room. There's a lot more plumbing and things like that in this area. The kitchen is right above, so there's water lines for the refrigerator, sink, dishwasher, things like that. So we're just covering that up. Here I am marking out where the can light's going to be. I just used a scrap 2x4 to make sure that I had perfect spacing all the way down the room, and then getting the can lights in to then later be hooked up. As you can see, there was already lights in there, so just had to get those connected. So now that all the framing is done, I'm going through to expose the drain line. You can see there was that orange S. So I went through and we kind of had a little bit of an issue. It wasn't exactly where they had marked it. I'm not quite sure if they lost track of it or what, but as you can see, there was a lot more concrete that needed to be cut out in order for me to actually find the drain line. Luckily, I did find it, did get everything connected, everything was fine. So going through and getting that filled up. So this was fascinating. I had the drywall delivered, but in a basement, you have to go through the egress window right there. So we just pulled that egress off. They were able to bring those 12-foot sheets in. There's 120 sheets. So I thought you guys would think that was pretty cool. I just wanted to make sure I showed you that. So here I am running the ducting and then the outside vent for the bathroom exhaust fan. This is again where the builder had labeled this is the best place, this is the quickest way to get out, make sure you have the straightest pipes and everything like that. I used hardline ducting as opposed to flex because the run was a little bit longer, so I wanted to have as much smooth airflow as possible. Now, one thing you guys all mentioned in previous videos is that we didn't use soundproofing between the bottom floor and the upstairs. In this one, the homeowner obviously wanted to incorporate some soundproofing, so we got a rock wool insulation. One piece that's very interesting is now in most modern homes, they're actually using a 19 on center joist span. And traditionally, all joists or studs in walls were 16 inches or 24 inches. As you can see here, I had to actually cut each and every one of those bats of insulation to get them to fit. Luckily, my supplier made me a good deal on the 24 inch, so I could cut a little bit off. I ended up using some of the cutoffs too, so it wasn't a huge waste. It all worked out really well. So now all the plumbing and everything has been roughed in, so getting the shower insert installed comes in handy when you actually frame out the walls and you know that they're plumb and straight. So when you put something in that is as crucial as it is to make sure all those walls are straight and parallel, you put something like that in, it makes life a lot easier. So getting those 4 pieces installed, and after all of that, the drywall subcontractors are in. This is one of my first jobs that I brought in a legitimate subcontractor, and I was so excited. They handled all of the material delivery and all of that stuff. I was actually finishing up some framing and putting in the shower while they were already started. So this is them getting going. Also some before pictures before all of the drywall is up. As you can see, everything is framed out. You can see the back of the shower there. There's that little playroom underneath the landing of the steps. Down in through the hallway, the pocket door is all fastened and secured. All the roughed in plumbing through the bathroom. Toilet, shower, all of that is done. The can lights or pod lights are hanging down. Some places we use pods depending on how much room we had above us. We ended up putting a wall there to divide off that playroom completely. Getting all of the drywall hung up. These guys did a great job. Shout out to them. I don't know if I want to say who they are, so I don't want anyone to steal them from me. I'm super happy with what they did. The homeowner was also very picky. Him and I got along really well in that aspect, and neither of us could find any issues or anything wrong. We were both very, very happy with the outcome, and they actually went through and hung, tape, mudded, and all the way through texture. So here's kind of a walkthrough after the texture is done. There's the closets. As you can see, here's the beam that goes up top, that tap right there. And so that's where the closet wall is actually divided off. Here into the bathroom, did a really good job matching up all the seams right around that shower insert. Down in through the hallway into the other bedroom. Again, texture and everything looked great. So after all of the texture is done, I need to go through and put on a PVA primer A PVA is actually designed to harden the paper as well as any of the mud or the texture on the walls. Makes it a lot more durable. Personally, I notice a huge difference as opposed to using like an all-purpose primer or no primer at all, as far as the durability and the hardness of the walls themselves. So PVA is crucial in what I do. So after all the PVA was done, I was able to pull up the masking from the drywallers. And the next step in my process, I like to put flooring down at this point. And the reason is I like to put my baseboard on the top of the flooring after it's all done to make sure there's good clean lines. So from how I do things, it makes the most sense to go ahead and put the flooring in now. There was 1,300 square foot of flooring total, as well as 12 stairs. So this process took a while. Everything turned out great. All the seams went really well. The concrete was really flat, actually, for being a concrete pour. I didn't have anything to worry about. And of course, this flooring did have a pad underneath, as well as was 100% waterproof. It's an LVP click-together floating floor system. So it was a great option. We had to go through several different options to make sure we wanted to match upstairs as much as possible. The upstairs of this house actually has a really nice hardwood floor. Of course, you can put hardwood floor in a basement, but subfloor systems and that do increase costs significantly. So we decided to go with an LVP with a pad. I think it turned out great. It's also super durable, has a little bit of insulation properties, so you're not getting that cold concrete feel all the time. So getting all that stuff laid in, seams along the unfinished closet and the unfinished utility room, working my way into the hallway, and then into the final bedroom. I have some different methods that I use to get a random pattern. I use 4 boards at a time, as you can kind of see here, and then I make sure that I use the cutoff from that first 4 rows as the starts of the next row, so that I have minimal to no waste, as well as keeping the joint lines as random as possible. So now here I am getting the stairs wrapped in that LVP. The rise on the stairs was perfectly one width of this. There was only one spot at the top where I had to seam 2 together, which was great. And then the actual treads of the stairs was a little bit less than 2 floor widths. So I was able to just stack up those 2 floor widths, take my measurements, cut them all in one piece, and then get them all to fit. And after everything was fit, I taped the seams together, going through and getting that adhesive down there. And here's the last little bit of flooring into that closet that's off the living room. So after all of the LVP is down, next step was putting tile in the bathroom. So again, the goal was to match the upstairs as much as possible. So we found a tile that was very, very similar to what was already used upstairs. I think it turned out great. And one of the requests of the homeowner was that we get a larger format tile. So find something similar in color, a larger format, less grout lines. Everyone was really, really happy. I think it turned out awesome. Some of the tile patterns that I didn't like as much, I made sure they were under the vanity. As you can see, those 2 gray ones that look very similar. I didn't really like that pattern, so I put those up there intentionally so that when the vanity is in, you actually won't even be able to see those. So got those all in, got the clips removed, silicone around the shower, and then grouted that. So after all the tile and the flooring is done, now it is time to hang the doors. There were 8 doors total in this project, both bedrooms, utility room, closet, 2 closets within the bedroom, and then inside the closet, little playroom had its own door as well. So lots of doors. Spent a lot of time making sure those were all true, framed up. Again, because I did the framing, I knew that the walls were straight, so it made shimming and all that stuff significantly easier than going off of somebody else's wall. So getting the utility room hung, bedroom number 1. The closets are going to be getting a double bifold door. All of the patterns for all these doors matched exactly what they had upstairs. We were able to find the exact pattern. So the small door that goes into the playroom underneath the landing of the steps was 24 by 30 inches tall. So I actually just purchased a 24-inch regular sized door and then custom cut the frame, the jamb, and the door itself to make it fit within that space. It was a pretty fun little piece of the job. As you can see there, the frame is significantly smaller. I was able to move the hinges around using, again, a door panel that matched everything else so that it all looks cohesive. Getting that cut off, using different pieces of it to make sure that all the strength and rigidity of a regular door was still there. Getting that put in, as you can see, it fits almost perfectly. Eventually, when we do doorknobs and those types of things, we'll make that all match. So now I'm putting in the jambs for the bifold closet doors. Again, because I was the one who hung it, makes it a lot easier. Putting in the tracks now for those bifolds. These bifolds are great. They do have a solid wood edging all the way around, so if you need to make adjustments, trim off a little bit, you totally can. And of course, I took advantage of that in this job because I was limited on the height because of that glulam beam that goes over the top. So I had to cut off a little bit from the height, made some adjustments on the left or right, ended up fitting really, really well. Same thing on the other closet. So one of the things that I like to do is actually hide the track. So I actually put a thinner piece of casing or trim around the jamb so that it drops the top down a little bit over the front of the track. And then when I put my header across the top or the piece of trim across the top, I line it up with that piece. And so it essentially hides the track, which is great. Now I'm putting in the pocket door. Homeowner and I agreed that for this bathroom and this kind of unorthodox space, you could call it, pocket door was the best solution. I completely agreed. So I got that pocket door in. Now going through any of the other openings, getting the jambs installed for the pocket door as well as this hallway. Making sure that the reveal is perfect. It slides right up against that jamb perfectly. Putting the jambs and the openings in. And this was actually a 6x6 load bearing wall, so I had to get a little creative. They don't actually make readily available jambs for 6x6 openings. So made that. Now here I am making the window boxes. I used a cabinet grade MDF to build these boxes. Of course, custom cut, no walls are straight, so each one of those had their own dimensions. Did take a little while to get those all dialed in, but once I had the dimensions, putting them together was very simple. I'm using glue and brad nails, and in some places pocket screws, depending on where it was and how big the box itself was. Assembling those on the nice flat ground, and then putting them in and adhering them with some 18 gauge brad nails. Since it was MDF, the end grain is very porous and sometimes is not painted very well. So what I actually used is a shellac based primer. Painted that on, sanded it, did several coats, and as you can see, the edge turned out perfectly. So that reveal is going to look really, really nice. Here I am putting in the window trim, the casing all the way around. I actually like, if it's a similar size like all of these ones, I go measure everything and then go back and cut it all at once and then just run around and hang it, especially with all of the window and door trim that was involved in this project. Significantly easier just to stand by the saw, do everything you need to do right there, then put it all where it needs to go. As you can see, I have some leaning up against the wall right there. I can walk around with my nail gun and just shoot everything. I do use a reveal marking gauge set to a 3/16 or 1/4 inch depending on the job, so make sure that all of the reveals are matching and the same. Going through, going the hallway into the bathroom, pocket door. Make sure that if you do hang trim on a pocket door, you have the appropriate size nails in your brad nailer, so you don't nail all the way through and hit the door, or in some cases you nail the door in place. It's all something to keep in mind. The utility room and inside that little closet do remain unfinished just for some storage. Everywhere else does get flooring and drywall and trim on both sides, like the closets and that storage room off the living room. Again, because of all of the door openings and all of the windows, there was a lot of trim to hang. There's a little bit of a specialty trim. Again, we were trying to match upstairs. The builder of this house did a wonderful job. It looks beautiful upstairs, so I had a tall order to fill, make everything look cohesive as far as downstairs. I think it turned out great. I am going through and putting in all of the baseboard. Of course, all of the corners are coped because, as everyone well knows, no corners in houses are 90 degrees. So by utilizing a coping method, it makes sure that all of your joints look perfect. It was really, as big as this space was, there were only 2 seams in the entire basement. Of course, got 16-foot baseboards and was able to use full-length boards throughout the entire space. And so there was no awkward seams, no anything to worry about as far as filling and sanding, and those things made my life a lot easier. Potentially a little bit more waste. The end result is well worth it. Working my way through the bedrooms, in through each and every single closet, making sure all those look nice and finished as well. As you can see, I use a really high quality stud finder, and so as I'm nailing in that trim, I have the stud finder in my hand and I'm dragging it along the wall, and every time I see a stud, I make sure to throw at least a nail in that stud to really secure that baseboard to the wall. And here's the 2 spots where those seams were. So that long stretch of wall along the back was the only place that didn't have a way to break up those, and so I was able to use 3 pieces of baseboard, 2 seams. I used CA glue with an activator to make sure it's a really strong joint. And then I go back and actually use more of that shellac-based primer to get a really hard finish that can then later be sanded down and filled. And then once it's painted, you can't even see those seams at all. So there were 2 air returns along this back wall, and I just decided to do a return on the baseboard as opposed to going into the side of it. I think it's one of those finishing touches that looks a lot nicer. I added some more returns of the baseboard in areas like here on the stairs. This part of the trim was really fun. These are called crosshead moldings. They go up above any door or doorway. They were a little bit hard to find ones that matched the ones that were already upstairs. Once I did find them, it took a little while to make them. I actually had to go through and cut off each corner, glue them together, make the tops, and then go through and nail those. And I think it turned out wonderful. It matches perfectly. So the pocket door, as well as the small door into the little playroom, were the only ones that weren't drilled out as far as doorknobs and latches. So here I am getting those drilled out. And then I actually put all my doors accordion style to spray those. I didn't get any footage of the trim or doors being sprayed, but it's just a white paint, so it'd be a little bit difficult to see anyways. So here I am painting the bathroom and one of the bedrooms. Actually, at this point that I decided to bring in a painting subcontractor, I decided that it would be much more cost effective for me to hire someone else to finish the rest of the painting. And I'm so glad I did. He was able to go through, get everything else finished up, went through and touched up all the areas that I had screwed up. And because of that, I was able to get onto other aspects of the job, made the whole thing a lot quicker. So while he was painting the rest of the space, I got to putting the bathroom together. So here I am bringing in the really nice, beautiful vanity with a marble top. And actually, after this project was done, the homeowner felt that this bathroom was the nicest one in the house. And so throughout the rest of the house, I went through and put marble countertops on all of the other bathrooms to make sure we matched this one. Makes you feel good when the project that you do ends up becoming one of the nicer rooms in the house. So much so that you had to up the quality of the other rooms to make it match. So I felt really good about that. Got that all installed, mirror hung up, the light fixture. Now here I am putting in the glass doors on the shower. This is just a store-bought glass sliding door. It's a great solution for a basement bathroom, or more budget friendly, as opposed to going with like a custom tile and then a custom frameless glass door. I really like these products. This is actually just from Home Depot. Really easy to install, really durable, really brings out the space. There's several different trim colors you can get to make sure that you match the rest of the trim as far as the shower and the faucet. And then after that shower door was put in, went through to get the toilet installed. And then just going through and getting some finishing touches, of course doing a nice caulk line around the vanity to get that sealed up. Those faucets turned out so nice, we ended up replacing all the faucets in the rest of the house with those same ones as well. So now that all the painting is done, all the trim is sprayed, the doors are sprayed, and all the walls have been painted. I'm going back through and mounting all of those doors. The doors actually came with a brushed nickel hinge, but the rest of the house had black hinges, so I purchased a bunch of black hinges and was able to put those on, putting the closet doors in, as well as little handles, little poles that go on those doors, matching what they already had upstairs, of course. And as you can see here, I put in the little playroom door with a legitimate doorknob. All of the hinges, everything else look exactly the same as everywhere else, so it just keeps cohesiveness. So really coming on the home stretch now, getting the closet rod and the closet shelves in. So now that everything's done, I was able to pull up all of the masking on the floor and go through and do a final cleanup. I got a nice little push broom style mop and went through and just scrubbed everything. Any imperfections you could see, I get down and scrape those, make sure everything looks really nice. And after everything was finally complete, this is what the final product looks like. This was a really fun project. I think it turned out beautiful. Working alongside the homeowners and their family was such a joy. I had such a great time. They were so receptive and appreciative of everything that we did. I'm so excited for them to be able to use this space. Since the project has been done, their 17-year-old son has already moved downstairs into one of the bedrooms. He loves the bathroom, having his own space down there. They have moved in a ton of furniture into the main living space already. They have a pool table and foosball tables ready to be moved in. The main piece of it too is this added a ridiculous amount of resale value to their home. The basement total is about 2,000 square feet. We finished about 1,300 square feet of that, added 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a lot of living space, and a lot of storage. So this is going to be a great use for them as well as the next owners of this house. I think the design and everything turned out gorgeous. Everything looked great. It matches upstairs, from the door panels, the doorknobs, the bathroom fixtures, the flooring, the paint colors. Everything looks like it's one cohesive piece. I myself am very proud of this project. I think it turned out great. One of the bigger projects that I've taken on, and couldn't have been happier about it. From the big changes that were made all the way down to the fine little details around the windows, some of the baseboards, some of the returns, dealing with different obstacles and challenges and overcoming those. And overall, this was such a joy, such a great project. Really happy with how everything turned out. Hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you like this type of content, please hit that subscribe button. We have a bunch of other content coming your way. In fact, I'm on a job site right now. We're getting a basement finished up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That shows the YouTube algorithm that there's good content going on over here and shows it to more people. I'd really, really appreciate it. Again, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.